Hello everyone and welcome to this discussion of the biography and scholarship of Randolph Braham. Randolph Braham was the most prolific and most influential historian of the Holocaust in Hungary, a distinguished professor at the City University of New York, and twice recipient of the prestigious National Jewish Book Award. Braham was born as Abraham Adolf in 1922, and he passed away at the age of 95, less than 2 years ago. He has left behind over 100 boxes of materials that enable us to study his long life in detail and ought to help us reconstruct how he came to write his major scholarly works in Western emigration. I happened to be born some 60 years later than Braham, and I became fascinated with his life back in the 1990s when I was still a teenager. At that time, Braham's name was a veritable symbol for the professional historiography of the Holocaust in post-communist Eastern Europe. I knew already back then that he was also a survivor of the Holocaust, having been a labor serviceman under Hungarian rule. Later on, I came to find out that his scholarly activities stretched over more than half a century. Braham was already involved in some of the earliest documentation projects related to the Holocaust in the first half of the 1950s, when he was working for the YIVO Institute. And in fact, as early as 1955, he presented a comprehensive plan to study the Holocaust in Hungary to the World Federation of Hungarian Jews. He continued his scholarly activities into the early 21st century, and therefore his biography and scholarship enables us an original perspective on the development of an entire field of study. Let me say just a few words about what my biographical study on Braham has found. I organize my exploration of his trajectory around the key concept of the uses of adversity, because I believe that parts unwittingly and parts strategically, Braham used adversity to accomplish his major scholarly goals and emerge as such a well-respected scholarly authority. Consider the following. Braham was born into a contested borderland on the European periphery in an age of exclusive nationalisms and radicalizing anti-Semitism. He was born into a Hungarian and Yiddish-speaking family in Greater Romania. Accordingly, he went to Romanian and Hebrew schools, and in the former, he studied both French and Latin as foreign languages. At the same time, he lived on a continent increasingly dominated by Germany, and he yearned to emigrate to the United States, because of which he was eager to study the English language. This gave him direct access to no fewer than 8 languages, which would in turn serve him well as a historian of wartime Europe in post-war America. Or consider the following. Braham arrived in New York City in 1948 as a penniless immigrant and a traumatized survivor of the Holocaust. Within 4 years, he would receive his doctorate from the New School with a dissertation on the emergence of the Soviet regime in Romania. Nonetheless, it took him another 12 years to find a suitable academic position when he was offered a tenure-track job at the City University of New York. This long wait, however, enabled him to study the primary documentation of the Holocaust in Hungary, which in turn greatly facilitated his writing of his major monograph, The Politics of Genocide, published in 1981, for which he received his first National Jewish Book Award. Or consider as a third case the following. 1989 led to the liberal democratic opening of Hungary as well as Romania. More open confrontations with the traumatic history of the Holocaust followed. In fact, Braham would receive lavish praise and some of the highest state awards from both countries, several of which he subsequently returned. Despite all the lavish praise that he received after 1989, he continued to feel that these countries were not quite ready to earnestly confront their wartime histories and to take historical responsibility for the actions of their predecessors. This kept him motivated till the very end of his life. In other words, all these three cases, his experiences of the interwar period and wartime, his life in early post-war America, and his life after the end of the Cold War, illustrate how Braham used adversities to further his scholarly civic agenda and to establish himself as a major scholarly authority. May you wish to find out more about his fascinating life? Please click on the link below.